I need to make a fixture to modify some Langstroth beehive frame components so they will fit into my Slovenian beehive. In particular, the two side components. I need to convert the side component on the left to the one on the right. By using a fixture on a sliding table, I should be able to use my table saw to cut them quickly and safely. I decided to use a Dovetail Jig System utilizing the match fit clamps by Microjig. Shown here is an all-in-one kit that has all the hardware needed to get started. It even comes with the dovetail bit for your router. The match fit system utilizes 1032 hardware. Here are some 1032 knobs that I picked up at my local hardware store. If you have a 3D printer, you can also print your own. I color code mine. The red is for 1024 hardware. The dovetails used in the system are just standard 14-degree half-inch dovetails. However, the bit that comes with the match fit kit is well worth the expense. It has a little bit of refinement made to the bit that really helps a lot. Notice the sharp corners? It doesn't have that on so the bottom is slightly rounded. Also notice this little cove right here. That puts a little round over on the top, which means very little sanding needs to be done. If you take a look at the side view of the router bit, the match fit bit has a slight angle that allows it to do a more of a shearing cut. This also really helps with the quality of the dovetail. All that's left is for me to make the sled. The stock needs to be at least 3/4 inches thick in order to work with the dovetail system. I have 3 pieces of 14-inch by 14-inch by 3/4 inch melamine. I'll be using that to make a couple sleds. The red outline shown here represents the stock. I then add an outside square that is 1 inch larger on all sides. This will allow me to insert a 1-inch spacer between my stock and the fences on my CNC. I then add some 2-point lines 2 inches from the edges and 2 inches on center. These will be where the dovetails are made. Notice how they extend 1/2 inch beyond the stock. This is to keep the dovetail bit from plunging into the stock. I export the drawing as an EPS file so that I can load it into VCarve Pro. Before I cut the dovetails, I will cut some relief grooves. This will save wear and tear on my dovetail bit and give me a better finish. I create 2 paths for the relief grooves, and I allow them to be done in multiple passes. I then create 2 paths for the dovetails, and these will be done in a single pass. These will be exported as G-code files, one set for the relief and the other set for the dovetails. At the CNC, I add my 1-inch spacers. I then add my 14 by 14 stock and clamp it in place at the corners. It's important that it's only clamped at the corners because this way I won't hit the clamps with the dovetail or relief bit. I zero my Z-axis to the top of the stock. I add my dust shoe and start the job. Once the reliefs have been cut, I change the 1/4 inch end mill out for the dovetail bit. I then start cutting all the dovetails. I place the jig up against my blade to see where the miter slot falls. Unfortunately, it's like right in the middle of one of the grooves, so I'm going to have to cut a little off the end facing the blade. With the jig cut down slightly, I can now mark the position of the miter slot. I mark and drill some countersunk holes so that I can screw the jig into my miter guide. I then attach the jig to the miter guide bar. The holes are a little oversized, so I do have a little bit of play, and I push it up pretty tight against the blade so I can trim it down later. The screws are then removed, and I install some small nylon hardware so that I can firm up the slide. The jig is then reattached to the guide bar and tightened down. I then turn the blade on and run the sled. This allows it to trim ever so slightly, so now I have a zero clearance. Let's give it a quick test. Let's see if I can cut a taper in this thin piece of stock. Worked like a charm. I used some hardboard to put together this little fixture that will hold the leg that I'm going to be cutting. It mounts on hardware and is held in place flush with the edge, so I can easily take it off and put it on as needed. Originally I had done this all with various components, and then I thought, wow, if I ever want to take this off and use this sled for something else, I'll never get it back. So I decided to cobble something together that I could attach to this. This could have been made from just about any wood. Alright, let's see how it fits. Perfect. To keep the stock from flying off while I'm making the cut, I attached a couple of these toggle clamps to some MDF. They'll be mounted on the same kind of hardware. Since I don't have anything to push the panel with other than just pushing on the panel itself, I decided to take one of my micro jig clamps and use that as a quick handle. Okay, let's see it in action. Micro jig also has plans and instructions on how to make little fences like this on their website. This fence could be used as a handle, it could be attached to the rear so that you could do cutoffs. I've made 2 or 3 of these in different configurations. Here I'm using the hardware that came with the bundle that I bought from Microjig. Could have just as easily been other hardware as well. Let's see how the fence as a handle works. Very nice. A lot more control. Feel a little more secure when making the cuts. It gives me a place to put both my hands. I'm sure you'll be seeing these jigs and fixtures in the future as I complete other projects. Before I close, I want to talk about some other T-Track hardware. These are 1/4 20 and 1032 T-nuts that you can buy off Amazon and from 8020 and different companies. They work. They can be a little tight at times, but they do work. One advantage that they have is that you can actually insert them at a crossroads like this. So you don't have to slide them all the way. So which is really handy if you got something in your way. Simple as that. T-bolts are another option. This is a 1/4 20 T-bolt that I got from Woodcraft. I've also purchased some of these online from Amazon. But they are a little tight. But the advantage is you can insert them wherever you want, so you can get pretty close to where you need to be. Now, if you grind a little off the edge, it makes them a little easier to use. Now, these are some PowerTech T-bolts. These are 1/4 20, but they do not fit at all. Now, on this one, I ground the edges down a little bit, and it fits perfectly. Just keep in mind that T-bolts and T-nuts don't spread their clamping force as well as the dovetail counterparts. So don't over tighten, or you possibly could split the plies on your plywood or rip your melamine up. Well, that's it for now. Until next time.